Hi everyone. Welcome to Rabbit from the Closet. I'm back in the basement today. I was working on some research and video clips regarding Britney Spears because that's the series that I'm doing now. And out of nowhere, I logged into my social media, my TikTok, and I saw that Amanda Bynes, who is one of my favorite of all time, Disney, Nickelodeon, young people who came up in that crowd. I've done several videos on her and Dan Schneider, but specifically on her because I remember thinking to myself, when she first came onto the scene and she was a part of the show All That, I remember my younger brothers used to watch it, and I would sit and watch it with them, and I thought to myself, she's amazing. She's such an amazing young comedian. She's the next Lucille Ball, which is like elderly person speak, and I lived with my grandparents, so that was my reference, and I just was like, she's so amazing for a child her age. I think more so than anyone else, more so than Britney, I was just so impressed by her. As she got older, I remember just thinking, oh, I hope the best for her. I hope she goes on to be some kind of amazing movie star. And when she had her breakdown, I followed it very closely because, as you know, my background is in nursing and psych. And I thought to myself, I've been around a lot of kids that come into the hospital, like Amanda, and I just wanted the very best for her. And I have so many notifications going off about it right now. But I'm just going to let you guys know I'm only going to be here for a short period of time. I had to get on and make this video because I wanted to express to all of you how shocked I am. I mean, when I say that, it's like, of course I shouldn't be shocked. This has been on our radar for a very long time. But I wanted to say to myself, Amanda's getting better. She's doing well. She has her own private life. And today, Amanda got onto her new TikTok and is making allegations that Dan Schneider got her pregnant when she was 13 years old and then helped her go through with getting an abortion. I'm going to show you the clip now. It makes me so sad, but I'm going to share it, and then I want to talk to you guys a little bit about it. And there's only so much you can say when you see something like this happening over and over again in Hollywood. Let's take a look before I lose my shit. Let me make it bigger for you guys. Hi everyone. I'm sorry that I'm not coming into the chat. Normally I spend a lot of time doing that, but I just want to show you the clip and speak out a little bit about it. And then I need to go be with my kids and try to remember that the whole world doesn't operate this way. Miss Medford says, I believe her. Dan Schneider is disgusting. He's a disgusting pig. Yeah, I have a lot of issues with Dan, but I also very much wanted to believe that even if he was maybe a little bit inappropriate towards Amanda, it wouldn't be this extreme of a story for her. Amanda has made, and I've talked about this in prior videos, she's made some really over-the-top shocking allegations in the past, to include that her father was inappropriate with her. And later she came out and said that wasn't true. It was someone else who said that. So it's difficult to know how long this is going to stand for, but it seems very real. Okay, so this is Amanda on her new TikTok. You're going to see a couple versions of it. Let's take a look now.
The executive producer of the Amanda Show, Dan Schneider. Hi, welcome to my jacuzzi. Today my special guest is the executive producer of the Amanda Show, Dan Schneider.
Hi.
Now you're the executive producer of the show.
Yes, I'm the executive producer and the head writer.
You actually wrote the words we're saying to each other right now.
Yes, I wrote this whole conversation that we're having right now.
Since you're an executive producer.
Give me an IC. Can we have an IC before sent to the executive producer?
I see.
Portions is hella dope.
This is Amanda's TikTok right here. It's a newer TikTok that's been placed online, but there's a lot of feedback that this is definitely Amanda. We see some unique videos on it that appear to be Amanda speaking to her audience. And her latest TikTok is her in a restaurant, and I'll show it to you again. In the very beginning, it's a very quick snippet of her as she is now. And she says, me with the man that got me pregnant when I was 13. And then I had an abortion. We'll take a look one more time.
Hi, welcome to today. My special guest is the executive producer of the Amanda Show, Dan Schneider.
And that clip is from All That. I remember it clearly. I have it on one of my videos. It's kind of like a classic clip used to ask the question, like, what is Dan Schneider effing doing with a 12-year-old in a hot tub? I think I have some more pictures of him.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to today. My special guest is the
He's just he's known for a lot of inappropriate things, but if Amanda is actually coming out and making the allegation that he impregnated her and she's not going to back down on that, I think that it's the first time we're really hearing from someone that level of just debauchery of the worst kind. I mean, I certainly hope that it comes out like, oh, this was AI. It was totally made up, because I cannot imagine a girl this size. Let's see if we can take a closer look at this. Look how tiny she was. I remember watching All That. She was small. She was sweet. She was innocent. And that huge ass, disgusting man. The thing that bothers me about is I can see how this happened. I can see how because here's the thing about Amanda and some of the other people, but I think especially Amanda, the way that she's always dealt with these allegations about Dan Schneider is to either keep her mouth shut or to kind of be like, no, we were friends. We were good friends. She's always been in the past, like, overly positive about him. There are so many clips and pictures of her giving him a hug, giving him a kiss on the cheek, just like they're so close in a way that makes me believe that if they did have some kind of a sexual relationship, it was a very like groomed relationship, making her believe that she was special to him, that they had a special relationship. That's the thing about the Disney pipeline. It's like Disney cradle to the devastation as an adulthood. You know, they enter, Disney is looking for kids who come from families that have some kind of imbalance, imperfection, and they're just so willing to hand their kids over to these executives. I know that Amanda's family, her mom and her dad, you know, it's never come out that there's something like really wrong with them, that they're using drugs, that they're using alcohol, that they use all of Amanda's money, but they still might have been the kind of family that was like, yeah, go ahead, take our child. We're so excited for her. And then she's alone on these Disney stages with these men. I'm just picturing it. I just say to myself, if this is true, I could see it being the kind of relationship where she believes she had a real like girlfriend, boyfriend relationship with him. I've seen it so frequently in doing pediatric psych. When someone is groomed like this, they believe that they're special to the person. And it really mirrors what we heard from Britney, and I absolutely believe that this is true, is that of course there would be all of this pressure when you're very young, but you're also famous and you're going places to end the pregnancy. I know everyone's different, and I am the kind of person who I would always support whatever decision a person makes about their pregnancy. That's how I feel. But one thing I can say about ending a pregnancy or having a pregnancy end, like not on purpose, because I've been in hospital rooms where that's happening, is that the devastation that comes from it, not just like the mental devastation that you experience, but it's the insane hormonal fluctuations that person is going to go through for months, if not like a year after having like a procedure done. I mean, and when I say this, I have been in the room with procedures where a person is having an abortion because the baby is not consistent with life outside of the womb. And the mother is struggling, like we're afraid she's not going to make it through the pregnancy, whatever the medical condition is. And to watch what they go through and to see them later and just all the things that it does to their body, the things that it does to their mind. I can't imagine being 12, 13, 18 years old and going through that in a way where everybody knows who you are. You're on stage, everybody's watching you, and you can you imagine having something like that done? I think about that with Britney because she claims that she got pregnant with Justin Timberlake's baby. And then there was all this pressure, and I think, from Justin as well, to end the pregnancy, and she did. Can you imagine having that happen and even months later being told, get back out on stage, girl. Get those abs nice and flat, girl. And you go out there and something, you're hiding something that these millions of people don't know about you, but they watch you dance on stage. I think when I think about Britney, I think to myself, like that specific situation, I think, who wouldn't need a drink or an Adderall or a little bit of cocaine up your nose to get out on stage after shit like that is happening to you? And then as life goes on and you don't get to deal with it because you've just got to get to the next tour, get out there, you're making all of this money, everyone depends on you. And you're being told like, you're brilliant, you're amazing, you're a genius, but deep inside, like you're dying inside. That's a thing too about Britney's younger sister, Jamie Lynn. I wonder if she understands that. I mean, I'm not saying Jamie Lynn had some kind of like blessed life and Britney didn't, but I mean, the fact that she kept her child, the child that she became pregnant with as a teenager. Now, Jamie Lynn claims that she had to fight for that. But I do wonder to myself, I think Jamie Lynn, you may have had a little bit more support in Lynn, especially in her mom who took her away to a cabin somewhere. I think that they already had money. Your family already had money. So if you got pregnant and you were going to say, I'm going to keep the kid, they let you. But I would bet with Britney, they were like, no, Britney, we need that money. It's a huge life-changing event for a lot of people to lose a child, be it chosen or not chosen. I love Triple J. Hi, it's good to see you. I've been missing you, Triple J. Plus, if Amanda was pressured to end the pregnancy, the mental and emotional toll that would take at 13 years old, like your body is just starting to bud. I can't even imagine. I guess I didn't want to be alone, like thinking about this, talking about this, and that's why I went live with you guys. It's so true. These women are being sacrificed for fame and money. Well said, Miss Medford. I already knew that Dan Schneider was gross. You see these pictures and you're like, it's just too much. I know that he's well known for also coming up with scenes that have to do with like feet. People are just like, it's so inappropriate. But I still wanted to tell myself like, okay, Katie, I think I'm like this with almost everything we discuss on this channel. And that is part of the reason why I really appreciate you guys. You kind of check me like, wake up, one way or another. And I actually really like people who come at me and leave comments from one end of the spectrum to the other. I want to hear both ends of the spectrum. So with the Britney situation, I've had people come in and say, Katie, you know that it's AI and Britney's dead. That can seem like a very extreme end of the spectrum, but I want to look into it, know about it. I want to know that there are some people who think that we have seen I think we've seen almost crazier things happen lately. Like, there's shit that's happened that I'm just like, yeah, 30 years ago, I never would have thought, when I was 5, 10, whatever, I never would have thought shit like the Epstein files, all kinds of shit that's come out and it's been true. Stuff with Diddy. And I was in the same situation with Diddy. I'd be like, I'm sure he does crazy shit, but it can't be that bad. And it's like, it cannot compute to me that when people get all this money and fame, they'll do whatever the hell they want. And some of them just have shit inside of them that the rest of us couldn't even stomach. It makes me want to throw up to think of that tiny Amanda Bynes with this disgusting 30-year-old man who, was taking advantage of the other kids on the set as well. But she was special to him. I remember, I'm going to put out some of my videos about this again. I'm going to put them, compile them and put them all out, because I remember hearing and reading that other people who were on all that said that Amanda was always being taken away for a special meeting with Dan, because she was special to him and to everyone. And you know what? I can see it, because I watched the show and I was like, wow, that girl's special. She's going to be an amazing comedian someday. All that pressure and stress put on a 12-year-old, even from me, probably I was 16 at the time. I'm a few years older than her, thinking wow, she's going to make it. Oh, she's going to become a big star. And all that pressure and stress. And then having someone like Dan Schneider, who's been very successful and works with Justin Timberlake and works with all these big stars, come around you and tell you that you're special to him. Ugh. Miss Medford says, Dan can have a foot fetish. Lots of men have a foot fetish, but stay the F away from minors. Totally. I mean, that was the point, is he was doing it on these kids shows. I remember one of the shows, I think it was called Waverly, which is a Waverly Place or something. I don't know. I mean, my little brothers were more into this category of Disney, but just thinking about him being around all those young girls and having all that power and all that fame is absolutely disgusting. And if this goes any further and Amanda comes out and there's any evidence that she can provide, I think we're going to be at the point where we really have to believe whatever anybody says about any of this shit that goes on in Hollywood. I mean, like I said, I tell myself over and over again, it can't be that. It can't be that the person was RAPED, because they would have gone, the person would have gone to jail. If it was that bad, if they were doing it over and over again, they'd go to jail. Now I look at Harvey Weinstein, all these people, all these men who got away with horrible things and they held on to power every step of the way. I think a big part of my channel is just wanting to come on here and say, this isn't right. In so many ways, it's not just about Amanda. It's whatever relationship he had with Amanda probably fed the next relationship that he was going to have, because the next young starlet watched Dan with Amanda and said, I want to be like Amanda. I want to be special like her. Dan's interested in me? Well, I'll certainly go backstage with him and spend some time with him. It just keeps feeding this machine. And people are so desperate for the fame and the fortune. And I can see that. I would have felt that way if I was a 10, 12, 13-year-old. And I'm sure my family would have felt that way. We came from nothing. I'm sure they would have been like, you are our ticket out of poverty. It's about standing up to that kind of power, because it's wrong. Diddy, had a lot of, can't even, that's a whole other issue. Miss Medford, I like what you say here. It's like, I'm really getting to that point. It's like these elite people are on such another level with their debauchery, like especially in the bedroom, just the way that they treat people, the way that they treat children, and the way that they cover it all up and just move on to the next big thing. All right. I wanted to bring that on here. Please, do your own research, like maybe check out the TikTok. I'm sure people are going to be talking about this for a couple of days now. I think I'm going to go back and look through some of my videos and put some of that out again about Amanda. Some of the things that I was reading about Britney were really difficult too, honestly. I brought this tissue because I thought it would be hard, but we're making it through. The stuff that I was reading with Britney, I mean, it's these posts. One of the watchers of my channel sent me a link to all these posts that Britney was making. I think it's like somewhat privately to a fan page, like people who pay to be part of like her fandom, and they're like subscribers. I don't know how it's called like Eat, Pray, Love Britney type of thing. And Britney would make these posts about her life and what she was going through. And I think it's like a different version of Britney than I've seen before. And it made me really sad looking back on that. And it's interesting because someone who wasn't part of that fan club would not have received all of those posts. So I'm going to put them on a video and read them for you guys and go through them. But it just reminds me, I mean, these are human beings that are really struggling. And that's something we talk about on the show. I know all of you guys know it. These are human beings. They're really struggling. They're imperfect. But it kills me that they're not even able to come forward. That's what I think with Britney. Something happened with her when she was younger. I think before Disney. I think something in her life happened, at age 8, age 9, because I was reading, I'm not going to go into all of it, but I think it's her mom, Lynn, who basically says by 12, Britney was skipping school, doing some drugs, chasing boys, just like really early for that time period. Now, I mean, it's just biologically true that we're moving into a time period where people, young girls are getting their periods earlier, all that kind of stuff. But that wasn't the case back when Britney was a child. And I just have to wonder what happened to her on that like Mickey Mouse stage. She used to do that Mickey Mouse show down in Florida. I think there's a lot going on here. Triple J said people had to notice and didn't speak up. Yeah, I mean, how could you not? Like, if me as an adult right now, as a 40-year-old woman, if I was on the set of this show and Dan Schneider was in the hot tub with this tiny little 12-year-old Amanda Bynes, I mean, I think I would say something. I think I'd be like, doesn't that look weird? And I would even say, like, don't you think that'll look weird, to our viewers? Like, is that really, not, I mean, don't you think anybody would say, any female like person on the stage would have that feeling? I would hope that a male would as well. But I think anyone who's like a mom or has like even a niece in their life can look at that and see like something is really wrong. And when, they're constantly posing together on the red carpet. I have these pictures of Amanda just like posing with Dan in the way that you would pose with someone that you're dating, All right. I really want to hear more from, it's just so sad for me because I really want the best for Amanda Bynes. I've watched her. I know people will say like, oh, she's gained weight. I don't care. She put tattoos on her face. I mean, it did make me feel like, oh, you're so pretty. Why would you put a tattoo in your face? But, people grow up and they change. And I know she doesn't look the same as she used to look, but she still, could be an incredibly creative and amazing person that deserves like love and deserves to be listened to and deserves, our trust as a community, So it's hard to know because I know, much like Britney, she's been hospitalized before. She has admitted to using some drugs in the past. So We'll have to see like where this goes, but I just say to myself, either way, like who wouldn't you be using whatever drug is placed in front of them when they've been through so much shit and they've seen so much? I think that's the other thing is I can say like, well, I grew up and I never did any of those things. And it's like, well, Katie, I say to myself, you know, you didn't have millions of dollars in front of you and people directly in front of you using the drugs right there and handing it to you. I mean, what they were exposed to, I don't think any of us, it would be very rare for someone to be able to pull back from that and say, no, thank you. Or even to be able to leave Hollywood entirely. How few people, there's a few of them, but very few people walk away from that kind of opportunity. But look where it's gotten Amanda. I was just watching her, she did like an art show, and I had read that she's doing much better. So to have her come forward and make a TikTok like that, either it's not true that she's doing much better and this is some kind of a psychotic break, or it's 100% true and she's doing much better and she can finally say, this is the problem. This is what happened to me that causes me to have to maybe see a therapist now or use drugs once in a while. And I think the worst part is you can't talk about it. I think that's, you know, if your abuser was a nobody, maybe it would be a lot easier to, and it's always going to be hard, but maybe it just would be easier to be able to go to a therapist or go to a police officer even later in life and say, this is what happened to me. But when your abuser is a man who made you, created your career for you, and other people around you are saying like, you're so lucky. I think folks did see things and didn't say anything because they were scared of Dan. Dan was a powerful man and could blacklist them from the industry if they spoke up. Yep, that's exactly what we were talking about in one of the recent Britney videos. Thank you, Miss Medford. Yeah, you and Triple J are seeing everything that I'm thinking. I just feel disgusted by this. Okay, I wanted to come on here and just share that with you guys so that you would also know that I'll probably break a little bit into my Britney series to talk about this. I'll relate it to what's going on with Britney, but to say like, this is yet another example of the using and abusing that we see with these kids in Hollywood. Thanks for sharing with them. Oh, thank you, Triple J. It was great to see you too. Thank you guys for being here today. I'll send out some videos later straight from Rabbit's closet or basement or wherever. Nice to see all of you.